Good morning, JoAnn.
Good morning. Good morning. I'm thrilled to be here. Feels like a good day.
It does. We have sunshine for
So
the
do
first
we.
time this week. We had a little bit yesterday, but it's been pretty gloomy here.
That sunshine, that makes all the difference.
What's the temperature like there?
It's already like 53 and it's only a little after 9. So that's pretty amazing.
And last week you had 7 inches of snow at this time.
Yeah, that's right. And you had some cold weather going too.
Yeah, we did. So I really enjoyed our last talk that we had. And I wanted to start this conversation with drawing a card and setting an intention. And I am going to draw from Return of the Spirit, which is a deck by Cheryl Lee Harnish. And there, how's that?
Pretty colors, yeah.
She uses fractal images, which we'll have to talk about someday because, as you know, I love fractal artwork and the whole concept of fractals. So I'm just going to get grounded and pull a card for us. It's interesting. I'm laughing because I often pull this card.
Wow, look at those colors. Look at those colors.
Well, that's a nice way to say that. You know, when I look at that, it looks like I'm looking like a woman's giving birth, you know.
Well, that wasn't exactly what I got, but it's okay.
So I'm going to go ahead and read what that says. When we are in the process of creating something new in our life, we are actually calling on our divine force and mastering our gift as creators to bring something new into this world. Trust yourself and all that you are doing at this moment. Your instinct and intuition will guide you. The goals, projects, or ideas you are working on are important in the cosmic plan. There are many higher energies working with you and through you to help you complete what you are working toward. Remember, though, the process of giving birth involves going through labor. Yes, it does. You may be feeling a lot of pressure at this moment, but discomfort during labor is natural. Don't give in or lose hope because of it. You are doing the right thing. Don't let small disappointments or upsets lead you to thinking you are not on the right track. You are. Pain is just a natural part of labor. You may also be feeling the urge to push. This is great. Even though it is not time, do not allow your impatience to get the best of you. Allow everything in its own time and trust the process. You do not want to start things out prematurely. Completing the gestation period is vital, so be mindful not to rush. Gestation always happens before the labor begins. Ooh. The birthing card also comes to those who are symbolically giving birth to the higher aspects of themselves. Usually, this period involves its own set of growing pains as you learn to move out of the old ways of being and outdated limiting beliefs. Trust that the challenges you are facing at this time are essential to this process. You are evolving, growing, and changing into a more truthful version of you. Stay strong. You are nearly there.
Wow. You know, that's huge, and that's huge for everyone on this planet right now.
Right.
Because everyone, no matter what they're doing, where they're going, they are receiving this light that's coming in right now. Mm-hmm. And it does, you know, they may not be doing exactly what we're doing or being or at the space that we're in, mm-hmm. but they're going through change. you know, and some people will find fear in that. Some people will find love in that, and opportunity. But, you know, there's no right or wrong. It's a choice.
It just is. That's one of my favorite things that I've learned on this process for myself, is that there's no right or wrong. That really helps me in terms of my ego not picking up and running with it, you know, because we're so good at thinking we're wrong, right?
Absolutely.
It's so programmed in us. So, oh, that was really, really a nice card. I like that a lot. I love, you may want to push.
Yeah, right.
Before it's time. And I've kind of felt that a little bit off and on with this venture that we're doing and these conversations, and, you know, want to make it a certain way, or push it to another level. But we just need to let it grow organically, right?
Right. And we're both analytical people. So this is a real challenge in some ways to let things flow. And yet we've seen firsthand, which is why we're doing this to begin with, how great it is when we just let it flow.
Right, right. Like, we were trying to come up with a topic after our last meeting, and then it was like, oh, we should just let it flow and see what happens in our lives over the next couple of days, and then go with that, because that's typically how we do this, right?
Right. And then tell them what happened.
Exactly.
Yeah. That
Right.
decided what we're going to talk about today.
Right. So, boy, if that wasn't a setup for the topic today, I don't know what is, because as everybody knows, or, you know, if you joined us last time, you know that the card I pulled to guide us was do all cool. Trying not to get the reflection. There he is.
That's good. You did
Cool.
good.
And I had never heard of him and didn't know a lot about him, but didn't really think about it that too much. And then the next day, I thought, I'm going to pull from that deck again as I sat down to do some work here. And here he comes again. And I'm like, all right, this cool dude needs me to research him some more. And I love to research. So I started my research process. And here, you know, he's pretty well known. And I had heard the term Master DK before. I had come across some writings, but never really delved into it a whole lot. But that's what he's known as, the Tibetan, or Master DK, or Dual Kul. Most of the literature, it comes out of New Age writing. There are some ancient references to him, or what we believe was him. So, you know, I spent probably about 2 hours delving into this wonderful, what many people will call a rabbit hole, and realized that, boy, did I resonate with him. I'm going to read something that I wrote about him. DK's sole mission interest is to guide humanity towards the establishment of goodwill and right human relations. And I thought, wow, I really relate to that. And the more I read about what his teachings are, the more I resonated. And what I found out was that Madame Blavatsky, who is the co-founder of Theosophy, which is a philosophical system. Are you familiar with Theosophy, JoAnn?
No,
Okay.
no, I'm not.
I've probably talked about Madame Blavatsky before, but about 35 years ago, one of my very good friends was obsessed with her and named her cat Madame Blavatsky. And I'm like, who the hell is that? You know, why would you name a cat Madame Blavatsky? And so I learned about this woman who you know, lived in the late 1800s, traveled the world, and as a female, that's unusual, and just learned different philosophical systems and gathered ancient knowledge. And she put a book together called The Secret Doctrine, which I have about 2 years ago downloaded. Do you need to take a call?
I need to turn my phone off. Thank you very much.
So I'm thinking, so this is where the thread starts, right? So I'm like, I know about her. Well, her whole book, The Secret Doctrine, which I, again, downloaded about 2 years ago when I started on this spiritual journey, this book is supposedly channeled from him. And so I'm looking back 35 years ago, I'm introduced to this woman, Blavatsky, who is, just one of my, most beloved people. I love her writings and just her story. And then 2 years ago, I download her book, which is channeled by DK. So I'm thinking, wow, this is crazy. Never heard of him. And then a woman named Alice Bailey, who came out of this theosophical movement, but then kind of broke off into her own. She, for 30 years, channeled him and wrote series of books of his teachings. And I'm like, really? Like, where have I been? And so she talked about how he had an incarnation. This is where it gets kind of fun and silly, where the magic for me. He had an incarnation as one of the three wise men. And he was Casper, specifically. That was the wise man's name, Casper. And he gave gold to Jesus. That was the gift he gave. So probably about a month ago, I was telling Christine, my wife, that, we're talking about possibly getting a dog. And I said, his name will be Casper. And she's like, oh, okay. But it's like the name came to me. I'm like, his name's going to be Casper. I think that'd be a great name for a dog. I don't know where that came from. And then, my whole connection with gold. My last name is Goldyn. My business is Golden Light. He gave gold to the baby Jesus. So I know it may sound like a reach to some people, but, when you put the whole story together and all the synchronicities and you kind of step back and watch how this weaves its way through your life. So, as I read, I get more and more excited. So I go into meditation. And as I'm in my meditation process, I get, now, I don't know if this is his voice. I don't know how to talk about this. Like, I don't know if I say I channeled this or what this is, but what I received was this quote: "We are the reappearance of the Christ. That is our revelation." And that's not something I would say on my own, that it was given to me somehow in that meditation. And then I was so on fire that I used my pendulum and confirmed through my pendulum work and through drawing some other oracle cards that he, in fact, is one of my personal guides. And so, and that's always been difficult. As you know, JoAnn, I've had trouble identifying who my personal guides are. And I have quite an interesting array of them now. But I feel very good about that, that he has been there for me and trying to get me to know him 35 years ago when my friend named her cat after the woman's whose book he channeled, right? And all these little sprinklings throughout, I'm going to name my dog Casper, and he was the reincarnation of Casper the Wise Man. Really? So I could go on and on, but,
Well, I love the way you put it all together in the synchronicities. And you say, it sounds like a far reach. It doesn't. This is the new world. This is the way we pay attention. This is how it's supposed to be. This is how we get messages. We were not sat here and said, just do what you can do. this is big. And people, when people listen to you say this kind of thing, they're going to understand that this happens for them too. And it'll help them to start putting one thing with another thing,
Right.
you know, because it's happening all the time.
Right.
I love it. And I love the message. Go back to your message. Tell us the message again.
We are the reappearance of the Christ. That is a revelation. And then what I understood from that was, you know, how different faith beliefs will talk about they're waiting for the second coming of Christ, or, you know, Christ is going to come back on, Jesus Christ is going to come back and it'll be the end of the world, or, you know, there's different beliefs around that. And what I got was, we are the second coming that people talk about. That's the revelation, you know, that we are the Christ. And that is something that you've been talking about, JoAnn, and you've started using that language, which I loved, you know, and so maybe that, you know, that was a piece of that synchronicity, I think, because of the language you had given me about we are all the Christs of God. I was able to hear this message and understand it.
Yeah, I hear you. And, you know, I started reading the books, the teachings of the masters of the Far East or something like this. And they talk about this all the time so easily. You know, Jesus came in, there was no separation. He knew he was God. He knew he was
Right.
of God. He was God. Everything is God. There's nothing that you're looking at that is not God. Everything's made of the same source. That's all there is. It's a principle, it's a vibration, it's a source. It's all. Everything is God. Therefore, we are God. And what we've been separated with our ego and the Christ within, because, you know, the Christ within is God. And now that we're learning that the ego has done its work, we have gone through those challenges, and everything's got a God spark, even the ego, even though it was there to keep us separated from who we are. This is what's happening right this moment, is that we are coming in to who we truly are. And we've been, in some ways, beaten down so much over lifetime after lifetime as to being unworthy, bad people, sinners. Oh my gosh. No wonder people are having a hard time or a challenging time waking up to who they are, because we are all Christ. We are all Christ of God. And that's what changes our world. That's what takes us into a world of peace and love and joy and abundance. And that's in our hearts, that's what everybody's wanting. So that is such an exciting, and I love the way you research. You know, I don't do that as well as you do. I just jump and go wherever I happen to be led. But you start researching, and it becomes very, very clear that this is the path we're on. This is the path a lot of people are on right this moment. And this is the second coming.
Right. And you know, DK, when Alice Bailey was channeling him and writing the books in the early 1900s, he talked about through her, the teachings were meant to usher in the age of Aquarius, and that's where we're at now. And
absolutely,
you know, I'm an Aquarius rising, Aquarius moon, so I really relate to the age of Aquarius. So that was another thing. And he is part of the spiritual hierarchy of advanced beings. And that was kind of a new phrase for me. And while my understanding is that he didn't channel the word ascended master, people that try to understand his writings now say he was like the communications director of all the ascended masters. And kind of organized that, or that's what his role is. A big part of his role right now is being the communications director. And, I have to chuckle because I'm really into communications, and I could see me, not to say I'm on that level, but I have that energy about me, being a communications director, getting everybody on the same page, and trying to get our message out clearly. I could see me doing that here. So I have to chuckle about that synchronicity, or that connection, if you will.
Absolutely. And everything that I'm getting in these books say that when you are brave enough to say, this is who I am, and just like you talking about, said, well, I can't really compare. And every time I say, we are just like Jesus Christ, we are Christ, it's like, ooh, did I really say that?
Yeah.
Am I being, what's a word for that?
Sacrilegious.
Yeah, there you go. And yet, when you say it with such knowing and such lack of anything else around it, it's just simply is.
Mm-hmm.
Then you start becoming who you truly are.
Right. I always have that voice saying, that sounds braggadocious, or that doesn't sound like you have humility.
Yeah.
And that's a tough one for me. I have that martyr complex, and I've learned that that's pretty self-centered, actually.
Yep.
It's very twisted way, because people would say, oh, you're such a good person, and all that. But that's what I was trying to get, was that approval, because I felt a lack inside.
Right.
I know I'm going off another tangent here, but just for me, having Christ inside of me, let alone thinking I am a Christ of God. I mean, that's huge, because God was always out here. Christ, everything was out here. What was in here was evil, bad, ugly, and so the fact that I now believe I have a God spark within me, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
to live and believe that.
Right.
And then to take this, for me, it's the next step of, oh, I am the Christ.
Absolutely. And you're right. That is a difficult thing to bridge, because we have been kept under control by being kept separated from God.
Right.
Because if we are all in our power, then we don't need someone telling us what to do and taking our money and deciding for us.
Right.
So that truly, that's a huge threat to the powers that want to be. That we're all coming back into our power, because we're now realizing, and Jesus even said it in the Bible, everything I am doing, you will do and more.
Right.
And it's like, it's just getting to that faith that we know it's all right there.
So do you spend most of your time in that belief, or is that something you have to work on every day?
I have to work on that every single day.
So
that it gets easier.
Yeah.
And as you know, I'm getting ready to go back out to the country, and it's twice as easy there, which isn't always a good thing. The challenge is okay, but it does take, nature does take you into a whole different, you've got more support in nature. Okay. But yes, everybody needs to practice that. Everybody needs to, like I say, just saturate yourself with every book or modality that interests you, so that you can start to get to the point where you can see your power. When I talk about the power of light, that's the Christ light within you.
Right.
And that's burning all the time, and that's who you are. And when you get to that close enough, you'll start having that corona around you, right?
That crown.
Because that's all the pictures of the angels, of Jesus. They had this corona. Well, that was their light. That's
Right.
who they are, you know, and your parameters become less. They become a little more of a little higher vibration. You aren't quite so solid.
So dense, like we were talking about.
Dance. Yeah, that word. I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So all of this is exciting. And everybody's so capable. You look at how easily, like if we had all the TV stations putting exactly what you and I are saying out there, can you imagine how quickly this planet would raise in vibration?
Either that or we'd be locked up.
No, I'm saying if they were already behind us.
Right, right.
You know,
I'm
if
sorry.
we had the support
Right.
that the fear has,
Gotcha.
you
Yeah.
would see an entirely different deal. So we do it ourselves. And
Right.
we're very capable, and that's what we came here to do. Why do we want to? We do not want to not succeed.
Right. And
Okay?
that's the good news.
That's good news.
This is full of good news today.
Yeah, absolutely. And it just, we talk about it and you get all this information, and it's like, look at this. All you have to do is be aware and expect good stuff. And that's
Right.
what you get.
Right. Because then your that part of your brain, the reticular activating system, looks for confirmation.
Absolutely.
I always have to pull that part in. Um, either physics or biology or something, one of the sciences, and so if we're constantly thinking love and light and positive, and we intend for our highest good, then we'll get it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it makes more sense to people, a lot of people, when you bring it in the way you bring it in.
Yeah, because we're trained in the sciences a lot here, at least in the United States and Western
Right.
society. Yeah. Any more good news?
Well, I'm thinking if we're going to do a little bit of an activation, we ought to do it, or meditation. And I'm going to try to make these to where they apply a little bit to what we've talked about.
That makes sense.
So I'd kind of like to introduce people to their Christ self today.
Woo, this is exciting.
That, well, we'll see. I never know. So, okay, if everybody will just get comfortable, you're going to want to close your eyes, take a deep breath into your heart, always into your heart. That's where this world is coming from, is from our heart. And today, we're going to bring forth our heart light. Remember, it's whatever color shows up through your heart. And your heart's filled with this beautiful light. Now your body's filled with this beautiful light. And now you've created an orb of beautiful light that you're floating in. And today we're going to float down actually it's across a lake. Just picture the most beautiful lake that you can think of, and it's surrounded by trees, but out in the middle of this lake there's an island. And it's an amazingly special island. You can tell that it's very, very special and high in vibration because it's like it shimmers. It shimmers. Sometimes it seems solid, sometimes it doesn't seem solid. Kind of like when the heat comes up off the pavement in the summertime or after a storm. So we're just gonna float in our bubbles. We're just gonna float over the lake. and we're going to go toward the island. And there's someone waiting for us, each one of us on that island. And it is our Christ self that is waiting for us. It's like our future self. It already exists in its full glory. But we're going to get to meet them. So as we manage to we're to the island, so we're going to float down to the island, and then we're going to float through some of the trees. We're going all our own directions. There's a cave at one spot. Oh my gosh, there's a beautiful clearing, and there's a little bridge over a little river that comes from the lake that goes through the island. And so you just need to float wherever you're called to float to. Keep breathing deep. And when you get to the perfect area, and you'll know exactly where that is, you'll see someone. They've got their back to you. And then as you settle, they're going to turn around. And you see yourself in all your glory. You see yourself no longer separated. Now, you don't have to die to get here. This is ascension with the body. And so I am seeing mine, and always, I am bigger. Always I am bigger. Years ago, I went on this trip, and it was like Wonder Woman, but it was me. So you can invite your Christ self into your bubble and bring him or her back with you. Or you can choose to just go back whenever you want to go back. But eventually you're going to want to bring them with you, because this is who you are. So let's start our trip back across the lake. Across the lake. Oh, our bubble is more full. There's a lightness. There's a lightness that maybe we didn't have when we left. There's a vibrational lift. We're not as dense. And this will stay with us. This stays with us. We don't go backwards on this. This is always there for us to access. And so now as we arrive back, we all come together as one. We brought our future self back with us. We are joining together. Bring our light back in. And we are here, but we are not the same as when we left. Nice breath. Open your eyes. And we are back.
Wow. That was very powerful.
Excellent. Excellent.
I feel so light.
Fantastic. Fantastic. I had a progression years and years ago. And I remember when I was there and I was at the ranch, but she was asking me what I was feeling. I said, well, we walk more lightly upon the earth. So that tells me that our vibrations were up. And I could also smell big water, the ocean. And Colorado is not close to the ocean at this moment. But anyway, so I'm just saying, this is what's happening as our vibrations are increasing. We are ascending.
That was beautiful.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Until
I know it's always our wish that everybody walk away from this feeling just a little bit more of who they are.
Absolutely. That is absolutely our intention. And so it is.
And so it is.
Namaste, my friend.
Namaste.